Rick Ector, the guy behind the gun carry law, April 15, 2011. Now, Rick Ector, the guy behind the gun carrying law, wants to carry a gun in public. He wants to carry them in big boys, restaurants, bars, schools, libraries. Now, something's got to be done to stop these retards. There's something seriously wrong with them. What if someone thinks he is a criminal with a gun and shoots him? If I see a man with a gun who is not a cop, I'm going to assume that he is a criminal. I'm not going to wait until he points his gun at me and says, "Give me your money." I mean, if he's got a gun on him, somebody's carrying a gun, and they're not wearing a police uniform, they're probably a criminal. The Constitution gives me the right to protect myself by running over this guy with a car if I see him with a gun. If his gun makes me fear for my life, it will be the 12 jurors who decide if it was self-defense. But it'll be my word against a dead man with a gun. So who are they going to believe? The cops come out and there's a dead guy laying there on the ground with a gun, and you're in your car and you say, "Officer, this guy had a gun, so I ran him over with my car, and now he's dead." It's your word against this dead guy with a gun. And so the juries are going to believe you, not the guy with a gun. And so this guy is completely insane. He should not have a gun, because anybody who thinks you could walk around with a gun and not be a cop has got some serious mental problems. Because the Constitution gives every man a right to protect themselves against people who make them fear for their lives. And if this guy's got a gun, he makes me fear for my life, makes a lot of other people fear for their lives, so they really have a right to run over them with their car. That's what the Constitution says. Now, if these gun carriers don't like the fact that the Constitution gives every man a right to defend themselves against gun carriers, they should move out of America. Because the fact is one of these gun nuts like this Rick Ector guy, somebody runs him over with the car because he's got a gun on him, it's going to be the guy in the car against a guy of a dead man who's laying there with a gun. And if you run over this guy with a gun, you kick the gun out of his holster, and when the cops get there, you say, "Well, the guy had the gun, he was pointing at me, and I was feared for my life, so I ran him over." And then the jurors are going to find in your favor it's self-defense. And if this guy don't like it, he should move out of America. One thing, I was robbed at a gunpoint, and I know that the only reason why I was robbed by a gun, with a man with a gun, is because of these gun nuts like Rick Ector. That criminal would not have a gun if it wasn't for the NRA and people like this Rick Ector. Because the guys that robbed me with a gun were only like 15, 16 years old. They were not old enough to get a gun. Where did they get their guns? They stole them from guys like Rick Ector. These kids stole their guns from NRA members, these retards with guns. They stole them and they used them to rob me. In fact, if you're robbed or your business is robbed, if you're raped, if somebody, shoots you, they usually do it with a gun that was stolen from one of these gun nuts. And if these gun nuts didn't have guns, the criminals would not have guns. The criminals don't go to the store and buy guns. They get them from gun nuts. And so the gun nut is responsible for me being robbed at gunpoint. Because if he would have kept his gun secure, locked, or if he just never had them, the criminals would not have them. So every gun owner is responsible for me being robbed. Every gun owner is responsible for all crime.
Hey everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is, my name's Eddie. I'm doing a video response to GoTimothy for his Rick Ector, the guy behind the gun carry law video. Right now it has 3,000 views, 166. 2 likes, 145 dislikes. Real quick history before I start. I'm a God-loving gun owner of a Glock 23, 40 cal compact. I carry my gun in a Blackhawk conceal holster for proof to everyone out there. Completely empty. Always please assume that a gun is loaded. GoTimothy, I want you to really assume that, because if you try and harm someone, they can shoot you when you try and run them over with your car. I checked everywhere in the United States Constitution. Everywhere I checked in there. Nowhere does it say you can run someone over with a car. I hit Control F. I even put run over. I put vehicle, and I went through every amendment in the Constitution. Nowhere does it say you can run them over with your car. Also, I want to let you know that you just admitted that you would lie to a judge. You publicly admitted that on a video, saying that if you see someone with a gun, you will not wait for them to shoot you. You will go run them over with a car if they're not a cop. Now, what if you don't see their badge and they're a cop? What if they are an undercover agent? Then, you'll get shot and you'll die. I really don't know if you are in need of medication, but if you think you aren't, I'm recommending, as a Christian, that you get some, because I don't want you to be crazy. Let's see some of these comments. A lot of people are disagreeing with you, and all of those people are right that are disagreeing. Cold Steel 106 says the Constitution allows the right to bear arms. I too have the right to defend myself if I see you coming at me with a car, and I will do so by all means. Don't use the Constitution to defend your views and omit it when it comes to our right to carry. I want to say the person is 100% right. Yeah, Second Amendment says I can carry a gun. And, since you don't like guns, I'm assuming you never did the check of what it takes to actually get a gun. You have to go through a full background check. Any criminal record, and you can't buy a gun. Any debt problems, and you can't buy a gun. Pretty sure you didn't check. Now, before you come back in a video response and say to me, not all gun owners are good owners. I understand that, and I agree with you. You have these wannabe gangbangers or hoodlums or thugs that, will get a gun and do bad things with them. But if you have 1,000 apples, I'll say that if you have 100 apples and there are 10 that are bad and you find them, are you going to throw out all of the apples? You might, because you're a weird-looking old guy with an ugly hat, ugly beard, and ugly shirt. But most people would just toss out those apples. They have gun control laws. They are getting stricter to try and prevent the people that are not good gun owners to get guns. About to cut this video short right now. Just wanted to say, you need help. I want to give a shout out to Reddit and the gun subreddit. I check you guys all the time. I want to say thanks to EMTCJ for posting this video up about this psycho old man. Hopefully we can get some more views on this, and maybe this guy can get admitted to a mental institution. I want to lastly say sorry for mumbling and looking like this. I just woke up getting a text from my wife. I was up late cleaning my gun. Everyone have a good day. God bless. Go Timothy. Please go see a shrink.
Response to GoTimothy Rick Ector video, May 16, 2012. Eddie, I'm sorry it took so long to respond to your video. I'm being attacked by 140 million brainwashed gun owners. I can't respond to them all, nor will I even try. But I'm responding to yours because so many people agree with you. Excuse me. Sometimes you have to throw insanity into the face of gun owners so that they can see their own insanity. It's called critiquing. Everyone agrees with what you said. I hope you listen to yourself and take your own advice. You said, and I will quote, I've read the Constitution, and nowhere in the Constitution do you have a right to run over anyone with a car. That's your own words. I'll even play it for you. All the gun owners agree with you. Insanity is when you don't agree with yourself or your own words. So why do you have a gun? You have said yourself the Constitution does not give you the right to kill anyone, and you've read the whole thing. The only thing that I changed was the word gun into car and run over with kill, which basically means the same thing, right? You have the right to have a gun, and I have a right to have a car. But the Constitution of the United States gives no one the right to kill anyone, and you've read the whole thing. And I bet you didn't find the words hunter or gun collector or even self-defense in the Constitution either, did you? Did you do a search on that? Why is it you think you can kill with hollow-tip bullets and someone cannot defend themselves with a knife, baseball bat, or car? I will tell you the answer. You have been brainwashed by the NRA and the gun lobby. But don't worry, you can sue them for brainwashing you. If you want to know how, just let me know. The question I keep asking gun owners and never get an answer is, when do you pull out your gun to defend yourself? After a criminal has already put a loaded gun to your head and says, I will kill you? Or when the guy with a gun is walking towards you? Many have said that if the gun is holstered, he's not a threat. But what about the gun owners who take out their gun to load it or show their friends? Can you shoot them then? If Rick Ector takes his gun out of the holster to load it, can you shoot him then? Rick Ector can take 50 gun owners to a restaurant that the owner of the restaurant knows beforehand is coming in with guns. You think Rick Ector or someone like me can walk into a liquor store late at night with a gun and not be shot by the liquor store owner? You think the liquor store owner is going to wait until you draw your gun? You're insane. Rick Ector's insane. The store owner will shoot you dead the second you walk in there with a gun. And yes, he will lie to police so that he doesn't go to prison. And he will lie and say that you drew your weapon first. He's going to lie and say Rick Ector drew his weapon first and said, I'm going to kill you. In fact, all gun owners have said that. That's what they do. They lie. In fact, most of the gun training videos I see on the internet of our training people how to lie to police and what to say to them so that you don't get arrested for murder after you shoot someone in your so-called self-defense case. If you think I'm the only anti-gun person, there are millions of gun owners who would, or many of anti-gun owners, who would run you over with their car if you walk down the street alone at night with your gun and you were not a cop or a hunter in the woods. You think I'm the only one? Other gun owners will shoot you if you're walking towards them with a gun on the street late at night, or if you're in your car with your gun. Undercover police officers who have guns get shot by uniformed police officers. It's happened more than once where undercover officers with guns have been shot by regular police officers. And there's only a few of those. There's only a few undercover compared to how many gun owners there are. Can you imagine 140 million gun owners walking around with their guns? You are insane. They'll be shooting each other. The Constitution says regulated. You don't go by a dictionary written by a tyrannical mafia dictator that says it means something other than gun control. With all those gun owners, no one changed the Constitution by changing the meaning of the word regulated. Regulated means gun control, and it's always meant that. If someone would have tried to change it, there would have been a revolution with all those gun owners. So how can you say it meant something else years ago and there wasn't a revolution? That's just total insane, delusional thinking. You have been brainwashed and deceived. Only a well-regulated militia has a right to bear arms, and only for the purpose of defending a free state. Not all people are in the militia. If you think that, you are crazy, delusional, mentally ill, psychotic, any other kind of mental word to describe you. Because women were not even able to smoke or vote until the 1920s. There was no women in the military. Women didn't get drafted into Vietnam. People who believe the Constitution that was written in the 1860s meant that women were in the militia are just insane. Do you really believe that? Do you believe in the 1860s women were allowed in the militia and they were allowed to have guns? No. The Constitution did not mean for everyone to have a gun. Not all people are in the militia. And definitely not in the 1860s, not women or blacks or even gays. In fact, gays weren't even allowed into the military until 1989 or something like that. Rick Ector is not in the militia, and neither are you. You don't have a right to have a gun. You're mentally ill. You're delusional. There's something wrong with you. Because people in the militia know that the word regulated means gun control. People in the militia know that the only reason why they have a gun is to protect a free state. So if you're not using your gun to protect a free state, you're not in the militia. If you are against gun control, then you're not in the militia. If you have your gun for any other reason than to protect a free state, you are not in the militia. I know you believe that because the terrorist NRA mafia organization has put people in positions of power in the Supreme Court to rule in favor of gun owners and the mafia and the terrorist-run NRA. But that does not mean you have a right to have a gun, because all these people were put in there by this terrorist organization. It just means that the government has been hijacked by terrorist tyrants like the leader of the NRA and Rick Ector. And yes, those Supreme Court justices that were put in power by the NRA, they are not legal Supreme Court justices. Because if they're not elected by the people for the people, if they're put in there by a special interest organization like the NRA, they are illegally tyrants in power. Rick Ector is threatening the lives of American citizens. He says he is going to kill them without a trial, without a judge and without a jury if he believes in his own delusional mind that they are a threat to his family. All people are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Therefore, you cannot kill anyone in self-defense because there's no proof that they are a criminal. And yes, Rick Ector does have a delusional mind. He does not know what the word militia means. He does not know what the word regulated means. He doesn't know why the words begin, quote, free state are in the Second Amendment to the Constitution. He doesn't know why those words are in there. I think he knows regulated means gun control and that he's not a member of the militia. I think he knows he's a member of the NRA terrorist organization and he just claims to go along with it because he's being paid a lot of money. The reason why the Constitution gives the militia a right to bear arms is to protect the state from terrorist organizations like the NRA and tyrants like Rick Ector and Wayne LePreux, whatever his name is. I think all NRA members know they are going against the Constitution, but they believe the NRA mafia is so powerful no one can overthrow them. But we are now in a one-world government. The NRA mafia does not make the rules anymore. The people who hold nuclear weapons make the rules. Nuclear weapons were created to defend truth. Nuclear weapons can be used against the nation who believes they have a right to kill people. Hitler believed he had a right to kill people. And nuclear weapons would have been used against Hitler if they were invented then. Hitler made murder legal just like the NRA mafia terrorist organization. That's what the stand your ground and the self-defense is. It's legalized murder, and the people who believe in it are no different than Hitler and Hitler's SS. Human rights go far beyond the rights of dictators like Hitler and tyrant leaders of the NRA. I'm afraid you gun owners are going to cause a nuclear war. You have made a threat to the people of the United States and the well-regulated militia that has a right to bear arms for the purpose of defending that state against people or defending it from people like you. That the only way to get your gun from you is to take them out of your dead hands. That's the threat you made. Can you say FEMA death camps? Nuclear weapons can and will take your guns away from you. Your mafia, NRA, and insane versions of the Christian religion where God doesn't protect you, only guns do, is not going to save you. God will not bring the nuclear war until he declares it first to his prophets. You claim you serve God? People who serve God don't use guns. The faithless unbelievers will have their way in the lake of fire that burns with brimstone. Their eyes shall consume away in their sockets, and their flesh from their bones. This is describing nuclear war. Not only will guns not protect your family, but they will cause your family to die before your eyes of radiation. Now go ahead and call me a false prophet. It doesn't matter. Those who believe me will be saved, and those who don't shall perish. I'm not online to argue with anyone. Either you believe I saw God, or you don't. If you serve God, no man-made weapon will prevail against you. If you serve the NRA terrorist organization, the military-industrial complex, the false version of the Christian religion, the police state, blue code of silence, You shall perish by man-made weapons, whether it be a car, gun, knife, or nuclear bombs. And you won't have to worry about me running you over with my car. I don't have a car anymore, and there's about 200 million people who would run you over with their car. People who purchase cars and gasoline are supporting the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and have killed over 1.5 million people. The Bible says what will happen to those people who purchase cars and gasoline which neither see, hear, or walk. I know you don't belong to the Christian religion who believes Jesus is coming, because men with guns would be quick to label Jesus as being more insane than they claim that I am. If you think that I'm insane, wait till Jesus comes, because the gun owners are really going to denounce him as being a lunatic. If you don't believe that I'm the Messiah, you will never believe Jesus is God. Jesus never claimed to be the Messiah. The Jews killed him because, looking as a man, he claimed to be God.